February 8th, 2026, 9:47 a.m. Eastern Time. Pentagon Press Briefing Room. Rear Admiral Christine Kowalski steps to the podium. Behind her, a screen displays a satellite image of the Persian Gulf. She has prepared remarks. She will not follow them. At approximately 0330 hours local time, the guided missile destroyer USS Decatur was struck by an Iranian ballistic missile while conducting routine operations in international waters. A pause. Cameras flash. Structural damage has been confirmed. Casualty figures are still being compiled. I will take your questions. With those words, the Pentagon acknowledges what intelligence agencies had been tracking for 6 hours, what the White House had been debating how to handle, what Iran was already celebrating on state television. An American warship had been hit, and the rising tensions that experts had warned about for months had finally boiled over. I'm your host at Warfare Signal, where we break down the military operations that shape global power dynamics. This is the story behind the press conference, the intelligence failures that preceded the strike, the political calculations that delayed the response, and the retaliation that came after midnight. Let's start 12 days before the missile launch, May 7th, 2026. Revolutionary Guard naval forces conduct large-scale exercises in the Strait of Hormuz. 47 fast attack boats, multiple shore-based missile batteries, simulated attacks on mock targets representing American warships. U.S. Central Command classifies the exercise as provocative, but within normal parameters. This assessment was wrong. According to signals intelligence reviewed after the incident, Iranian commanders used the exercise as cover for something else. Pre-positioning. Mobile missile launchers moved under the guise of training. Targeting data collected on American patrol patterns. Communication protocols tested. The exercise wasn't preparation for a possible strike. It was rehearsal for a specific one. May 14th, Iranian negotiators walk out of nuclear talks in Vienna. The stated reason: American sanctions on Iranian banks. The actual reason, intelligence analysts later determined, was domestic political pressure. Iran's economy was collapsing. Inflation at 47%. Unemployment among young men at 31%. The government needed a distraction, something to rally nationalist sentiment. Attacking an American warship, surviving the retaliation, and claiming victory would provide exactly that narrative. This calculation proved catastrophically wrong, but Tehran didn't know that yet. May 18th, 8 p.m. local time. USS Decatur departs Bahrain Naval Support Activity for routine patrol. Her mission: monitor commercial shipping and maintain presence in the Strait of Hormuz. Her captain, Commander William Chen, has commanded the ship for 11 months. Competent, methodical, not known for aggressive tactics. Decatur is an older Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, Flight 2A variant, commissioned in 2001. 25 years of service. Her systems are reliable, but not cutting-edge. Her SPY-1D radar is 2 generations behind the newest variants. She is exactly the kind of target Iranian planners had studied. Adequate defenses, predictable patrol routes, high symbolic value. If you understand how adversaries choose their targets, you understand how deterrence fails. Subscribe to Warfare Signal for the analysis that goes beyond headlines. May 19th, 3:17 a.m. local time. USS Decatur is transiting 61 nautical miles south of Bandar Abbas. Speed: 12 knots. Condition 3, wartime cruising. At 3:21 a.m., the ship's SLQ-32 electronic warfare system detects unusual activity. Multiple fire control radars activating along the Iranian coast. The signatures match Khalid Far's targeting systems. Commander Chen is notified in his cabin. He reaches the Combat Information Center at 3:23 a.m. The tactical picture shows nothing immediately threatening. No missiles in flight, no aircraft approaching, just radar activity that could be anything from routine system checks to active targeting. Chen faces a decision that every forward deployed commander dreads. Escalate by going to general quarters and potentially triggering an international incident over a false alarm. or maintain current posture and risk being caught unprepared if the threat is real. He chose a middle option, increased readiness without full battle stations. Defensive systems on standby. Crew alerted, but not at emergency positions. It was a reasonable decision, based on available information, consistent with guidance from 5th Fleet Headquarters to avoid provocative actions during a sensitive diplomatic period. It was also not enough. At 3:27 a.m., a Fateh 313 ballistic missile launches from a concealed position 93 miles inland. The mobile launcher was hidden in a civilian industrial complex, surrounded by legitimate manufacturing facilities. Satellite coverage had not identified it as a military target. Flight time to USS Decatur, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. The ship's radar detects the launch at 3:27:08. Classification takes 11 seconds. The system identifies the missile as a Fateh 313, ballistic trajectory, high probability of ship target. General quarters sounds at 3:27:23. But the crew is not yet at battle stations. The transition from Condition 3 to Condition 1 takes, on average, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. They don't have 4 minutes. The SM-2 Block 3, A interceptor launches at 3:27:41. Automated engagement. The system doesn't wait for human authorization when a ballistic threat is inbound. The intercept geometry is poor. The missile is already in terminal descent. Time to impact, 53 seconds. Time to intercept, 49 seconds. The SM-2's seeker acquires the target. It computes the solution. It fires its divert thrusters, and it misses. Not by much, 17 meters. Close enough that fragments from the interceptor's proximity detonation strike the Fateh 313's body, but the warhead remains intact. At 3:28:34 a.m., the Iranian missile impacts USS Decatur. Strike point, the forward superstructure. The warhead detonates against the SPY-1D radar array, the ship's primary sensor for detecting and tracking threats. The explosion is catastrophic for the ship's combat capability. The SPY-1D array is destroyed instantly. Primary radar, gone. The bridge takes significant blast damage. Windows shattered. Equipment thrown. The captain's chair torn from its mount. 9 sailors are killed. 22 are wounded. Commander Chen survives, thrown to the deck with a fractured collarbone and severe concussion. USS Decatur is blind. Her primary radar is destroyed. Her secondary systems are operating on emergency power. She cannot detect incoming threats. She cannot guide her own weapons. She is a 9,000-ton warship reduced to a target. Damage control teams fight fires on 3 decks. The hull is intact. She is not sinking, but she cannot fight. At 3:34 a.m., 5th Fleet Command in Bahrain receives the distress call. The message is stark. Decatur hit by missile. Multiple casualties. Radar array destroyed. Request immediate support. The response begins immediately. But it is not the response that military doctrine would normally dictate. Here's where the politics intersect with the tactics. At the moment of the strike, it is 8:04 p.m. on May 18th in Washington. The National Security Council is meeting to discuss the breakdown in Vienna negotiations. The president is in the Situation Room. When word of the attack arrives at 8:09 p.m., it interrupts a conversation about diplomatic options for restoring talks with Iran. The immediate military recommendation is clear. Proportional response. Strike the launch site and associated Revolutionary Guard infrastructure. Standard retaliation for hostile action against a U.S. vessel. The Secretary of Defense supports immediate action. The Secretary of State objects. His argument: an immediate strike will close the door on negotiations permanently. Iran may have intended this as a limited provocation, testing American resolve. If we respond with overwhelming force, we validate their hardliners and eliminate any path to diplomatic resolution. The debate lasts 47 minutes. During those 47 minutes, USS Decatur drifts in the Persian Gulf with 9 dead sailors on her deck. Her crew fights fires and treats wounded. Her captain, concussed and in pain, coordinates damage control from a stretcher. And in Washington, politicians argue about proportionality. At 8:56 p.m. Eastern Time, the president authorizes a response. Not the full package the military requested. A limited strike. 4 targets. The launch site. 1 coastal radar installation. 1 Revolutionary Guard command post. 1 ammunition depot. The order is transmitted to 5th Fleet at 9:01 p.m. Washington time. 5:01 a.m. local. The Tomahawk missiles launch from USS Shiloh, positioned 120 nautical miles south at 5:14 a.m. The strikes are successful. All 4 targets destroyed. Secondary explosions at the ammunition depot confirm the presence of additional weapons. But the limited scope sends a message that Iranian commanders interpret differently than intended. They see restraint as weakness. At 5:43 a.m., 11 Iranian fast attack boats sortie from Bandar Abbas. They head toward the last known position of USS Decatur. This is the second mistake Iran makes that night. USS Shiloh, an Aegis cruiser with full combat capability, is already en route to escort the damaged Decatur. Her captain has authorization to engage any hostile forces approaching the wounded destroyer. The engagement is brief and brutal. Shiloh's radar detects the approaching swarm at a range of 24 nautical miles. Her 5-inch gun and Harpoon missiles engage at maximum range. F/A 18 Super Hornets from USS Nimitz, launching from the Arabian Sea, arrive overhead at 6:12 a.m. Of the 11 fast attack boats, 9 are destroyed. 63 Revolutionary Guard sailors killed. The remaining 2 boats surrender. This is the first time in modern history that Iranian naval vessels have surrendered to American forces. The survivors are recovered, treated for wounds, later repatriated through Omani intermediaries. Their testimony, obtained through debriefing, reveals something important. They were told the American response had been weak, that the window was open for further attacks, that USS Decatur was defenseless and could be finished off. They were sent to die based on a miscalculation. The Pentagon press conference at 9:47 a.m. Eastern is carefully worded. Rear Admiral Kowalski confirms the strike, but avoids details that might inflame the situation further. She does not mention the 47-minute delay before retaliation was authorized. She does not mention the additional fast attack boat engagement. She does not mention that American intelligence had tracked the missile launcher for 6 days before the attack, but failed to classify it as a threat. These details emerge over the following weeks: congressional hearings, leaked assessments, investigative journalism. The picture that emerges is troubling. The attack on USS Decatur was preventable. The launcher was visible on satellite imagery. Its movements during the May 7th exercises were documented. But the analysis that should have flagged it as a priority target was delayed by bureaucratic process. The threat assessment reached the appropriate desk 4 hours after the missile struck. Intelligence existed, dissemination failed. This is the reality of modern military operations. Not a failure of collection, a failure of synthesis. Too much data, not enough analysis. The signal buried in noise. Commander Chen returned to duty 4 months after the attack. He was not disciplined. The review board determined his decisions were reasonable, given available information. He had followed protocols designed for a different threat environment. USS Decatur underwent emergency repairs in Bahrain, then transited under escort to San Diego. She entered dry dock in July 2026. The damage was ultimately determined to be uneconomical to repair. She was decommissioned in December 2026. Her crew reassigned. Her name retired. 9 sailors received posthumous decorations. Their families received flags. The Persian Gulf remains contested. American ships continue to patrol. Iranian missiles remain on alert. The tension that erupted on May 19th has not resolved. It has transformed. Both sides now operate with the knowledge that the other will shoot, that missiles will fly, that sailors will die. Deterrence in the Strait of Hormuz is no longer theoretical. It is written in the hull of a destroyed destroyer and the bodies of 63 Iranian sailors who surrendered rather than fight. This is the world we live in now. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.